It's your responsibility to empower yourself. To be empowered, you have to heal yourself. You are your own hero. I wanted to get deeper healing in my body physically. Fasting was just me getting out of the way, removing the noise from my body so it could really identify what it wants to work on. My body was less inflamed, I could get deeper into my joints. And after that fast, I was so content with life. Felt a bit better, closer to being more whole, but there's a lot of healing to be done. Anything that helps dissolve the ego and anything that helps you face death and accept death is good.
I've had an ayahuasca ceremony. This just allowed me to see things and then emotionally connect, and it changed my life.
It feels like it inverts your mind in a way that you see yourself and your life and all your relationships from other perspectives. The feeling afterwards and the group energy and the collectiveness. And it breaks those bonds down to let love in. You come to life in that world. If you drink your urine, it breaks a lot of barriers in yourself. It changed my life. It's like biofeedback, because your body's recycling the minerals. Nature's got it figured out, you know? I think open-mindedness really is the key for growth, not just looking at what we're told works, but looking at the result and how things affect me, rather than what everyone else is saying. We're all on a healing journey. Change yourself, change who you are, and then see how everything around you changes from that.
They say that the human race is doomed, that we have lost touch with our true nature, that the media has corrupted us, and that the planet has no future. I disagree. I believe that humanity is full of hope, and that our salvation lies within each one of us. My name is Brian Rose, and my job is to listen, the oldest method of learning known to man. Each week I seek out individuals that are changing the world, people who are living and thinking in a different way. Their stories will challenge your beliefs, make you question your choices, and perhaps inspire you to change. I never planned on doing any of this, but now I can't stop. Join me on this mission and make humanity something we can all be proud of.
It's time for you to man up, to once and for all, tell your mind who the fuck is boss. I need a fucking answer. What's it gonna be? I don't know what it is about this fucking sport, but it attracts people that really need to do deep work on themselves.
I failed in this city. All these bad memories. I never really felt like I gave a fuck about me or my life. I almost killed myself, like.
Think about something that is going to drive you when it really hurts. Some kind of demon you want to fight.
This is not Pussy Man, this is Iron Man. Under pressure reveals true character. What are you gonna do? You gonna be in Chattanooga, May 20th or what?
I've known Timothy Shieff since he had short hair and he was a b-boy. And he's been on London Real more times than I can count. He's co-hosted with me with some incredible guests on the show, but he's back to talk about the current state of who he is. And as usual, Tim evolves exponentially. He's always pushing himself with new ideas and new practices, and he does not disappoint here. He just won Last Man Standing on Ninja Warrior, which is an incredible physical athletic feat. And he also recently completed a 35-day water fast. You heard me right, folks. 35 days, only distilled water. He dropped a lot of weight, got a lot of clarity, freaked a lot of people out, and is here to tell about it. And also on this episode, I ain't gonna lie, Tim and I pee in a cup and we drink our own urine. So get ready for that. As usual, this is an amazing episode and I know you're going to love it. And another thing you're going to love is the London Real Academy. And inside, I'm taking people and taking their passions and turning them into revenue-generating businesses in 8 weeks. This is a real-time piece. I got people from around the world and we go through like a team of Navy SEALs. I'm going to teach you about social media, how to vlog, digital products, webinars. It's hella fun and it pays the bills. So I will see you in the Academy.
London Real doesn't stop when the conversation ends. You see, that's when we get started. Because everything begins with a thought, and then comes the action. The London Real Academy is our global transformation platform. Here we bring together thousands of students from over 75 countries. Whether you want to build a profitable business from your passion, or learn to speak to inspire, or broadcast yourself with your very own podcast, or accelerate your life to become a high-performance person, we have the online accountability course and personal mentoring program that will make your dream a reality. Join us, and we'll take your life to the next level, together. Our next accelerator course is starting soon.
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Timothy Shieff, the vegan athlete, activist, and entrepreneur. This is your 4th time on London Real. I've had the pleasure of watching you evolve for the last 5.5 years. You were recently crowned last man standing for Ninja Warrior UK, beating all other contestants, and you've just completed an incredible 35-day water fast. Tim, welcome back to London Real.
Thanks for having me, Brian. It's a true pleasure, and in those years I've watched you grow immensely as well. It's been a really beautiful to watch your journey, and I'm grateful for you to have me back on, and the audience watching this as well to join us for another great chat, I think.
Dude, we got so much to talk about, you know. Yeah. I want to talk about just pretty much everything, you know, your thoughts on, you know, how veganism has been for the last 5 years. We're going to hit some psychedelics. Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about urine and the positive attributes of drinking your own urine. We're actually going to do this live here.
I guess so.
My team here has already been freaking out about that whole thing, yeah. And I want to hear about Ninja Warrior and everything. But like before we get started, I just want to say, you know, you evolve like more and faster and more rapidly than almost anyone I know. You know, and it's just a compliment, I think, to your open-mindedness and the fact that you're not willing to experiment and pull the trigger and put yourself out there, man. It's just been incredible to watch you, man. I really appreciate everything you do, you know.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I think open-mindedness really is the key to it, and yeah, just an inner desire for growth and not accepting sort of the mainstream of like looking at what actually works for people, like not just looking at what we're told works, but looking at the result and being like, but that's not working for them. Yeah, I've just delve into other realms of where I find my answers, and as I've gotten more on my journey, I trust myself more and more and empower my own feelings and be more empirical with my evidence, so how things affect me rather than what everyone else is saying. It sort of led me on this path of more accelerated growth, I think. Yeah.
But it's tough being at the tip of the spear, right? Because it's also very controversial, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of are, I'd say, at the tip of the spear. You know, you're pushing things. You're kind of the first to try a lot of things and talk about things. And you're very public on YouTube. And, like, I'm on YouTube, too. And it can be a hard place to be sometimes, right?
Yeah, if you let the naysayers get to you, which, you know, I'm not bulletproof. I still get it sometimes, but something in my soul is just tells me to keep going, like, and not focus too much. And you know, when you see the people that are helped by it, or like, I don't know how to do things to inspire others. Like, I just try and focus on my journey, because that's all I can ever do, and my healing and my growth. And if people see that and they can take something from it that helps them, you know, recognize something in themselves. Oh, maybe I do need healing, because that's the start of this all, was realizing the healing we need from just existing in the world we exist in with the craziness that it is. And so that path of me just focusing on myself and being vulnerable. You know, I think you have to make yourself vulnerable and being open, and people seeing that, and some people want to jump on and judge and be negative. That's a reflection of them, you know, and it's not easy to see that sometimes when you're reading the comment, and it can upset you, but it is a reflection of them and not you. And the people that can just say, oh, this person is open, or, you know, you're free to do that. I don't want to do that myself, but you're free to do that, you know, however people want to live. But yeah, just not, I just exist in my world, and the more I do that and focus on my path, and when I share it, I feel like sharing, I share it, and however people see me, they see me, and is something powerful in me. It's empowering to do that, you know, be afraid of the results of what people will think, but then that's bravery, right? Not caring what people are going to think, being true to yourself and open, whatever the consequences, and yeah.
Talk to me about YouTube, because without YouTube, you would be a different person. I would be a different person. You know, this weird tech we have where we can beam out our lives to the world, like, changes the course of our lives. And I'm sure sometimes you have a love or a hate relationship with it. Sometimes I'm sure you've taken a break from it and then you miss it. Sometimes you probably think you use it too much. Like, it's a weird thing, man.
YouTube is a very weird thing, because when I recently did my fast, I documented every single day. I created a second YouTube channel called I Feel Truth. And because I didn't want to do it on my main channel, because I keep that for like more better edited content. But I did like daily vlogs of my fast, and I only planned to do 7 days. Ended up 35 days later, still going. And that was a really good outlet, because you're not eating food, but I was eating, like, you know, creation. I was creating content, and people's comments were really supportive, and that was energy to me, you know, and it was something for me to do when you're fasting, you know, not too much to do. And I actually came out of each video after I upload it with more energy than if I was fasting and not making videos. Because people say while you fast, you should rest. And other than making videos, I was resting. So physically, I was resting. But it actually, you realize how much you can get emotional energy, like, charges you. And during that, I experienced it. But YouTube, I have absolutely love-hate relationship with it, because then you're like, you get consumed in it, or you start to care what people think, and it just exists on a screen, on the internet, you know. Yeah. This is the real world, you know. Our heroes should be the people that we physically connect with, not just some women existing on the internet. But at the same time, we wouldn't be here without it. So you've got to have gratitude. It's like anything. It's like it's a cure and a cause. Like poison is in the medicine. It's learning to use these things and know when you're abusing them and when it's the right time to do so. And
yeah, it's a weird relationship. Let's talk about this fasting. For people that don't know, you just finished a 35-day water fast, which means you did not consume anything but water for 35 days. But
distilled water. I have a distiller.
Okay.
And this was my best friend during the fast.
During the fast.
So 1 liter, I just fill him up, and yeah. So no minerals, no food, no supplements, no injections, nothing, nothing but air and distilled water. I drink to thirst was the decision I came to. Some people say drink 4 liters a day. Some practices you do 1 to 1.5. Yeah, what do you want to know?
I mean, first of all, a lot of people will be surprised and shocked and be like, oh my gosh, you know, that's crazy. I mean, the only time I can think of someone fasting like that is like Gandhi in protest, or Bobby Sands, you know, in Northern Ireland, you know, as a protest. And I don't know how many days he went before he died, but I think it was a few months. And you obviously dropped a lot of weight, and you recorded all this. Why fast in the first place? And then why continue it?
Yes, it's a very good question. And from history, Gandhi and they say Jesus did 40 days and 40 nights, but that might be just a reference to a long time. Pythagoras, supposedly to get into the school of Egypt, they said, no, you can't join the school, you have to fast for 40 days first. And he's like, why? It's like, you won't understand this stuff until you fast first. And then he fasted for 40 days, got into the school, and then he made that a rule for Pythagoras' school. For people that wanted to join him, they'd have to fast for 40 days first as well. So that wasn't why, that was like things I learned along the way. But initially, I'm on a healing journey. I think we're all, you know, you're doing ayahuasca and all these other things, we're on a healing journey. Motion, mobility, all of the things we're searching for is to feel better, you know. So on the healing journey, I'd done a lot of different things, a lot of practices along the way, these nuances that all made me feel better in increments. Some were placebo maybe, and some others add a little more to your life, that in the beginning you feel amazing and then they sort of taper, but you generally feel better than the last before you did that thing. It came up to me, I wanted to get deeper healing in my body physically. I'd done a lot of parkour, mountain running, football growing up. My body needed some more rest, and I'd done raw vegan, fruitarian for a few months and felt a bit better, closer to being more whole in my body. And I wanted the childlike freedom of a yogi. And I'd done yoga for 7 years, eaten plant-based vegan for 5-6 years. Never gave me the healing that I was after. I have a real deep belief that I could get back to that childlike, Edo kind of freedom. You know, some people have it easier, well, not easier, but that's a bit harsh to say. But some people, it seems to come to them easier. For me, it's been a real struggle to have the freedom in my body that I see. When I see someone like Ido move, and I see someone like me move, and I understand why his mindset wouldn't respect a mover like me as much. When you understand mobility, I can see the limitations in my body, and yet I understand his methods and his practices, and understand how a body should move. So I want to get to that level.
Okay, and Ido has kind of like a fluidity,
a
playfulness,
but also just the mobility.
Okay.
Not just the fluid. The fluidness, I feel like I have and can understand that but I'm still stiff in areas which I wanted to work on, and it led me to, like, the universe will always ask you to pay a price for whatever you're asking for, right? And the last thing I wanted to do, as any of us wanted to do, is to stop eating. Like, let me go to yoga every day, right? But just let me eat my food. Let me eat my fruit and whatever. But I'll do the yoga. We all want to do something to change things. I'll just take a pill. I remember hearing about, like, Jean-Claude Van Damme once got knocked unconscious, or like they did surgery on him to make him more flexible. And, like, my mind wants to do that. It wants to pay someone to fix me. But it's like, fundamentally, it's like, you are in charge of your life, your body. There's a path to whatever you want. You just have to listen to the science and do that. And my journey that told me was fasting.
Okay.
May not be for everyone. That's what came up to me. It was like, it's the last thing I want to do. I wanted it. But
what was your relationship with food like before
that? Plant-based, but honestly, and I've been vegan for 6 years. I think a lot of vegans can have emotional eating, have more emotional eating disorders, sort of, once you go vegan, because you're more attached to what you're eating as, like, this is helping the world.
Right.
You know, so you're eating plant-based, thinking it's good for my body, I'm helping the world, like, but you're still consuming. You know, it's not. And realizing that veganism isn't the end. When you first go vegan, none more self-righteous than the recently converted, right? You're preaching it. I know you've been very respectful with it, and you've learned well. But I was one of them, preaching about it for a bit, and then I learned and I softened my approach to spreading it, and realized that it isn't the end of the road. It doesn't solve everything. It doesn't solve the Earth's issues. It's still, you've got to do the plastic free and all these other things, and it doesn't solve your body's issues completely. So one of the things I identified in my body was candida, which is like a gut bacteria imbalance that we can have from having antibiotics when we're young. Anything we do that's sort of against nature's laws causes imbalances in the body, and the price we have to pay to solve it is a little more. So one of the things I came up was, for candida, you've got to do 21-day fasting minimum. Some people go to 25 to be safe. And so I set off, I was like, right, for this year, I've just started my fast. I didn't start fasting ever till this year. I did 48 hours in March. I did it 3 times over, like, the next few months. And I was like, right, that was tough.
How was that?
Crazy tough. One of the toughest things I've ever done.
Why?
Well, the first 2 or 3 days of fasting is the hardest of any fast, because your body, what we think of as hunger, and there's a big difference between hunger and starvation. And in all my research, I learned so much about this. The first 2 or 3 days are all your old habits, all things coming up. Like, if you have a daily pattern, your body wants that daily, right? You start feeling tired at the same time every day. You start feeling hungry at the same time every day. So it takes about 3 days to break that. You know, kind of like with jet lag, it takes days to get over your thing. So, and that hunger isn't true hunger. That's your body's habits and your normal fuel. That phase after 3 days. My intention was to do 7 for the year, then I'm good. Maybe next year I'll revisit it. I got to 7 days. I was in Tenerife. I took myself away from my old environment. That really helped me. I went to Tenerife for 7 days. I spent €10 while I was there on a nail file.
Okay. And it's important to get out of your daily routine.
Not everyone can. Yeah, you have to rest if you're going to do 7 days or more for sure.
Because you get fatigued.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Okay. So you did a couple 48-hour ones, and it
Yeah.
was really hard. Plus, you're moving every day, so you probably have an
Yeah.
appetite, right? You're used to probably eating multiple
Yeah,
times a
but
day.
I can commit to resting when I need to.
Okay.
But I still have to do some work. But those 48 hours enlightened me so much.
How so? How did you feel?
All the things that we want from food supplements and pills, you want turmeric for anti-inflammatory properties and all these things, couldn't be a scratch on what I got from 48 hours of fasting in terms of how, I use yoga often as a science lab for how my body's reacting. You can go to the same class every week, every day, and some days it's stiffer, some days it's not. And food seems to be, fundamentally for me anyway, the biggest thing that will affect how free or loose I am in my body. And after that fast, and then coming back, all I craved was raw foods, whole foods, nothing processed. You don't want bread after that. You just give me watermelon, give me some steamed broccoli, and I'm good. I'll let go of all the other processed stuff. So that, one, it resets your appetite really healthily. And then two, I go to yoga, and I was like, whoa, just that. I feel so much. My body was less inflamed. I could get deeper into my joints.
Okay, so inflammation was the big thing.
It was a big thing for me.
And you felt it right away. You're in
Right
tune
away.
with your body, though. Would someone watching us that did a 48-hour fast now, do you think they would feel it?
It depending on them, and they have to be very aware that there are detox symptoms. So it's not just like you go through it, right? You feel drained at the same time of day. When you'd eat, you feel the complete opposite, like lethargic even more. And some people get headaches if they drink coffee and they're suddenly fasting from the coffee. And there's all these different things. We've put into our body these habits that have helped give us something once, but it's taken away down the line. So it is a reset process. But yeah, a lot of people, it's their journey. I'm not here to tell anyone what to fast. And it isn't fasting that heals. It's the body. The body's got a really incredible intelligence system, and what you're doing is you're getting out of the way. And it removed all the noise from the body. The body has a hierarchy of what it needs to deal with to heal. And eating food takes up the most energy of anything we do, more than recovering from exercise, is digestion. When you step out of the way, it's got a to-do list, and it goes, right, I don't need to digest now, I can get to work on the lower down stuff. And it's got a clever hierarchy of which priorities, the organs or the priorities, the brain and the heart are the main priority, then it's the liver, the kidney and all this stuff. And further down is like the nails and the ligaments and the skin. So people get skin problems, they fast and it clears the skin up because the body does it. It's like, right, I can get to that, I can finally solve these issues lower down. So fasting was just me getting out of the way and just removing the noise from my body so it could really identify what it wants to work on. And as I went through the process, I noticed in the beginning it was more internal and organs were being worked on, and I was lethargic for the first week. And then after then, I started to notice skin clearing up and nail issues start to clear, and it was like working outwards.
Wow.
And later.
And I'm guessing, it's only probably a few hundred years ago where it wouldn't be abnormal for a human to go a couple days without food, right?
All the research I was doing, it's like we've been removed from our ancestors. The books I was reading were from early 1900s, so like 1910, Arnold Ehret book called Rational Fasting. One of the main ones I read was The Science and Fine Arts of Fasting by Herbert Shelton, who liaised with Gandhi through his fast, and he fasted 40,000 people over his course of his 40 odd years that he was doing it. And the average fast you're reading about in this book is like 35 days, casually. Now you have to realize, back then all food was organic, and hardly any food was probably processed. Whereas now, anything organic needs a label that it's organic. And most food we eat is processed if you walk into any of these shops around London. So they were in a healthier state. Even if they were eating meat and cheese and all that stuff, it was far less GMO and Monsanto and all that. Right. And they were fasting for 35 days, getting incredible results. So for us to enter this, it's like, I couldn't just fast and it's done. It was like, I might have to revisit it year after year, but I know I did a lot of deep work that I wasn't able to access as long as I was consuming food on a daily basis.
Okay, let's talk about this deep work, and let's talk about 7 days. So you went in there, you go down to Tenerife, you have some isolation, which is good. You're shooting for 7 days.
Yeah.
What's it like when you start hitting 3, 4, and 5 days, and how are you feeling? And it's weird because you're now driving in this brain that's being affected by the experiment.
Yeah.
So you must be aware that maybe I'm not making the best decisions.
Yeah. You know what? It was complete peace from like day 3, from probably 4, 5, 6. I was very tired, like drained.
Okay.
The more you lie down, the better. you know.
Okay.
The body, and different people, some people have great energy. Some more overweight people, their body's using their cells as fuel and they've got charge up, or, you know, sometimes those people struggle more with detox symptoms. But I was very tired. You pee yellow from the 3rd day, which is when you're entering ketosis, which is your body using the fat cells and all the other gunk in the joints, everything. It's really clever into what it uses for fuel. And once you start peeing orange, it's a very clear sign from nature. We don't need complex scientific laboratory labs to test it, although I did buy ketosis strips and tested it and it said, yes, you're in, it's like comes up with the colour, you're in ketosis. I was like, well, I know that, I'm okay. When I'm peeing orange, I'm burning up the fuel that's healthy, right? And I guess one really good thing to identify is that fasting and starvation are very different things. When you do enter starvation and your body then starts to eat muscles and organs, you get a very deep hunger that doesn't ever go away. Whereas the fasting state, and that can be 60 days in or something like that. Okay. So I was well aware, and I was reading the books, I was eating the books, as I'd say, consuming them, reading all this stuff, going, wow, I can go a lot longer, but I was tired. All I could do was read and lie in the sun for 30 minutes and lie in bed. When I get up, I'd start to feel lightheaded. But the process felt very natural. After 3 days, those were when the hunger pains went. It felt very natural, and as it went on, if you don't mind me going forward with it, I came back to England. I went to break the fast. I was like, nope, I'm going to carry on.
At 7 days.
7 days.
You came back to England.
Yeah, well, I was there. I was going to break it in Tenerife and have a final day in Tenerife to enjoy some fruit. I was staying on a banana plantation,
right? Surrounded
by.
Were you thinking about food and fruit?
No, I wasn't. I think because I went away. If I was at home, it would have been harder. Because I was there. It was easy to just be like, this is what I'm here for. And once those 3 days, it was really an easy process to carry on from there.
And mentally, what's going on with you, like around day 7?
Stable, strong. The biggest thing was to remove stressors and fear from your life.
Because you can't handle that as well.
You can't handle it as well, no. You realize how much you really tap into emotional energy as a fuel. And when people around you are supportive and loving, and my team handled the business, and my parents, I avoided speaking to them really for that. Because God bless them, they're on different journeys. And so yeah, I came back to England and I told my team, because I had some events coming up, I said, do you mind if I carry on? And they're like, got you, man, like no problem. Aim for 21. Cure the let's get through the candida. 3 weeks, you get a good 2 weeks of deep healing at that point. So the aim was to get to 21.
For a gut biome reset, or also just to see how far you could push it?
I didn't see all my research. It was not. I had no fear in me of like 21. Like all these people, there's retreats you can go to in San Francisco, True North Clinic. There's Lauren Lottman in Costa Rica, and all over. All my research. You realise how normal this is, but there's this fear realm of like eating disorders and all this stuff which exists, which definitely need a certain approach, right? And I'm not trying to tell people again, because that was one of the main groups that came at me, was like, you've got an eating disorder, you're promoting it and triggering people, and I'm not here to delve into that realm. It's a whole other conversation.
Okay, did you lose weight in 7 days?
I didn't lose any weight in 7 days, really. Yeah.
You started off around what weight?
170 pounds.
170 pounds.
12 stone, 70 something kilos.
Okay, so no weight loss in the first 7 days.
It started to, but really not much at all.
Interesting.
And then it started to really because I think that was, like I said, the organ work. And then when it started to burn the fat cells more, like later on, the more of just what was in the body and the muscles and around that. But yeah, they say in a 30-day fasting you lose like 1 to 2 pounds of muscle, which is, you think, everyone's like, it's going to eat your muscle, you're going to get super weak and all this stuff. And it's like, it's a very interesting description. But yeah.
Okay, so now we're coming up on 14 days, 21 days.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? What's happening?
I was at home. I was able to do some days of work. I'd drive to the office. I was driving around. Day 23, I filmed with Jamie Oliver.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
How was that? You're around food too.
I drove for 2 hours there. That was a tough drive on the way there. On the way back, I was charged up emotionally. Yeah, around food, I was cooking with Jamie. I had to tell them, I'll come down, but I'm not going to eat anything, and that's the money shot for them. They got the vegan there eating Jamie's cooked in vegan food, and I couldn't do that for them.
I guess that is the money shot for a cooking channel.
For a cooking channel, yeah,
right,
and I couldn't give them that shot. And people say you should have filmed it after. It's like, well, I couldn't. I film it when they film it. I turn up. I either say no, or I thought it's better that I turn up. And for me, it's not about the audience; it's about mine and Jamie's connection. Because he's an amazing guy, and I like connecting with him, and he sees what's going on, like the growth, and he's looking to me for what's next sometimes. So it's like,
Yeah. What did Jamie make of the fact that you were fasting and you were 20 some days in? You probably
Yeah.
looked thinner.
I looked a lot thinner. Yeah, I didn't. You know, I think he respects it, man. He understands. He's much more spiritual than you'd ever prescribe from watching him on TV, from a Channel 4 Naked Chef. He's really deeply connected and really connected to nature, and you know, he's a real deep guy. So I think he respected it, and yeah,
I saw him interviewed on Kevin Rose a couple of years back, and you know, he really cares
to get that, yeah,
about the world.
He
You know, I mean, it feels like he feels the pain of the world sometimes. Like it bothers him that certain things are not happening. You know,
He carries a lot, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
and I could see how. I mean, you guys have been friends for a long time, but he had you on the show early talking about vegan issues when. You know, a lot of people like him weren't talking about that stuff. So I see how he looks to you as the kind of that innovator. You're younger, and he's probably like, okay, first of all, Tim is doing Tim. We all know to just watch Tim do what he does, and a lot of times you are on the leading edge of new and interesting things that might become mainstream. I know you said,
which is again old stuff.
Right, which is old stuff, yeah. And we'll talk later, but I know you said that just give it a few years and we're going to see all the fasting documentaries like Cowspiracy and What the Health and all that.
Come up on fasting, yeah.
Yeah.
It is like I said, those books were in the early 1900s. Then like the wars came about and a whole shift happened in our country and in the culture in general. But they were really like the fact that 40,000 people are fasting, it's a rising thing in the early 20th century, and then it all disappeared. And like we're just the ones on this new resurgence discovering it. We're removed, realistically, fundamentally, we're removed from our ancestors. Our grandparents should be the one giving us this culture, these teachings, and we sort of see tribes in Africa and what gets passed down through the ancestors and the medicine man, and we just see it as voodoo and crazy, but our medicine works better, our NHS and everything, and schooling works, but the schools remove us from our grandparents. Our parents, if you want to go into it, you know, poison through fluoride and all this stuff, you know, go into that, but we're disconnected from having the roots of where our education should come from, of how to live and how to be happy and healthy. And so we're having to rediscover it thanks to the internet and YouTube and the books from that still exist from those time periods, and what we can collate together and cross-reference and what works and what doesn't. And it's like, cool, I'm going to try this for myself. Empirically, does it work for me? Not what anyone else says. And that was fasting. I was led to it, I tried it, and I make my decision from there. But yeah, 23 days in, got to hang out with old Jamie, boy Jamie.
What was it like being around the food and it being cooked?
Fine, after 3 days. Smell it, fine, and enjoy the smell, take a bit of energy from that, you know, but yeah.
And so you're not hungry?
No.
You're not starving?
No, not starving at all, no.
Interesting.
Yeah, really natural,
Okay.
felt completely fine.
All right, so you're past the 21,
Yeah.
you thought, you're at 23. What are you
Yeah.
thinking, like?
I was thinking 28, so I thought that was the plan. 28 is one full moon cycle, and I like to live more seasonally, more paganistically. One full moon cycle, 28 days. Told my mum 28 days. And honestly,
So you're talking to your mom.
at this point, I was back in Derby. Yeah, exactly. I just wanted 28 days, full moon cycle, get to there, and it was coming up day 28, and my mum was like, "You're excited to eat tomorrow?" And it was her birthday. And I said, "You know what? I feel like carrying on." You know, I felt fine. I felt, and there's two ways. I felt completely fine, and I felt like if I didn't wake up tomorrow, completely like content with life. Like I was so no fear in me, and I didn't say this to anyone at the time because they would think, oh, maybe he's not scared of death. He's got a death wish, because it was completely not. I do this for life. I know I can experience a greater life and more freedom, and you know, with everything. So this is for life, but it was you. Sometimes you have to get it right up close to death and face it and go, I'm not scared. Like that was, you know.
Yeah.
And
what are you weighing right now?
I came out 133 pounds, 9.5 stone.
Okay, so 170 to 133.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good percentage of
It was
body
a good,
weight.
yeah.
So it's like a third of your body weight?
Yeah,
or
about
something?
a third. It was. I
Okay.
worked it out.
Okay.
But yeah, then I just had to tell my mum, I started this fast for me. I'm not ending it because she wanted me to end, and I was ending it for her. You know, at that point, I felt like I could carry on. I was reading all these books. I was watching YouTubers that had done 40 days, like not very well-known ones, but they'd done 40 days on their own, unsupervised. You know,
YouTube rears its ugly
people
head.
on YouTube, yeah,
Running
I'm like,
our lives,
these
right?
guys seem fine. Like it just seems like a normal thing. I know my body. Like I'm cool. I was like, maybe I'll go to 40. Like I started the fast for me. I've got to end it for me.
I agree.
You know, yeah. And so I told my mother that, and she's been emailing me at 2 a.m. in the morning. And one of the toughest things with fasting is you don't sleep much. I was sleeping till 3 till 6 a.m. from like day 7 onwards.
Just 3 hours.
3 hours a night, you know.
So what are you doing with all that other brain time? I mean, are you going deep into yourself? Are you?
Books were great.
But you and
I didn't do much meditation, I'll be honest.
because you couldn't focus, or did
Yeah,
you want to?
I didn't. I think I needed a really good setup with nature and like my own garden.
Okay.
It
And
could
you
be
didn't have
excuses.
that.
I don't have a garden. I'd go for little walks. I'd make myself on a daily walk, like about a kilometre.
Are you going into like your mental bullshit and like things about yourself and relationships and future, or not?
Yeah,
surprisingly?
you are a little bit, but you're feeling.
I mean, is it psychedelic in that way? Because that's what I kind of do with psychedelics. We can talk about that later too. But
It removes a lot of the noise from life,
Okay.
you know, and it helps you focus on what's truly important, and then it gives you like what goals out of the fast do I really want to focus? What's really important to me? You know, it helps remove a lot of that stuff. It removes parasites like in many realms, you know, not just physical ones, mental ones, spiritual ones. But at the same time, I was just getting through the fast. So I was on Instagram, I was on YouTube.
you're daily vlogging.
I was daily vlogging, yeah, exactly.
What are
So-
people saying? Are you reading the comments? Are you not?
So
What's
for the first time,
yeah.
I blocked everyone that was negative and removed the comments.
Okay, like blocking each individual person.
Yeah,
That's
I read every
tiring.
comment.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was my second channel, only got 10, 12,000 subscribers, so it wasn't as busy.
Just to keep the mind clear going forward, because you didn't want to.
it's like, why have this negative? It's my world. Then
Right.
people got
and
upset
it
about
affects you a lot more than normal, probably.
Yeah, it did affect you a lot more, and it comes from they don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, they don't understand, and there's no point in like this is my world. Why I don't let someone in my house that's going to shout at me. Why would I
Right.
let someone on my YouTube page? Like, I can just block them.
Plus, it gives you something to do, right?
Yeah,
Block all that.
well, yeah, and it's like then they don't come back tomorrow. It just helps filter it out. So then I would just have all this support from
And you're
people.
getting
that
energy
understand.
from the support.
I mean, I try not to. You know, if you do get love, if you feel energy from the support, you'll feel it from the hatred as well. You can't just have one or the other. But yeah, I was feeling like a little bit charged from people that understand that they're on this journey as well. That other people have started a 7-day fast, haven't seen me done that, did their own research. They're not just watching me. I trust that my audience are intelligent people. They're not just reckless, crazy, homeless people. People. You don't get to like 30 days into a water fast by chance. Like this, it's one breath at a time, one day at a time. It's like no one can just be reckless and go, I want to fast for 35 days too. It's like you've got to do some real deep inner workings to get to that stage and research and everything. You know?
Was it hard to continue each day, or once you had past 20, you're like, this is just a decision I can logically make?
I felt like I could go to 40, no problem.
Wow, okay. All right. So you get the email from mom at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm just going to do this, leave me alone.
Yeah.
And you push to 35.
Yeah.
How did you decide that that was enough?
So I got to day 33, and I like the number 33. 33 vertebrae, sort of God's number, you know, master number. But at the end of day 33, I just didn't feel good. I woke up day 34. It was a tough day.
How? What's a tough day like?
I just felt so drained, and my heart wasn't in it. Like I could feel that my heart wasn't in it anymore, you know. And sort of creating the goal of 40, because I'd seen other people do it. Jesus, the biblical stories. Like maybe, and I felt like I could go to it.
Yeah.
But it came up 34, and my heart wasn't in it. So I woke up day 35. I said on day 34, I said I'm going to break tomorrow. I didn't want to just break irrationally, like because I feel it now. I said I'll see how I feel tomorrow. Day 35 was the toughest day. Waking up, taking 3 hours to just get out of bed.
Wow. Feeling
drained. I rang my dad to come pick me up, to take me to Sainsbury's. We went, got some watermelons. He dropped me back off at home. He was very happy. And
what do your parents make of you?
Yeah, I don't know, because I only see like myself and my friends see me, and this is completely normal to us, right? We're delving into these realms, deep delving, leading edge, like you say, and they're just like normal, salt of the earth, Derby. Neither of them are vegan, you know, but supportive to a degree, but then they still want me to not be crazy and out, you know. Right. But I got to live me, and so there's not. I don't have any sort of spiritual history from them really, or any. There's no real. I've had to find it all myself. I've had to do this searching myself, which is great because my mum is the most challenging person in my life. It's the final boss, the final chapter, you know. And this fasting helped because I had to say to her, "I'm not your little boy. I can't. I'm my own person. We're equal humans. I'm continuing for me. I know it hurts you." And that's sometimes the spiritual ego, is that I should stop because it's nice. But that was my challenge at that point, was even though she's hurting, I've got to carry on because my soul tells me to do so. And that was a growth for me and a growth for our relationship. And so she challenges me at every moment. And that, she's like supportive once everyone sees that I'm okay. Once I've done Ninja Warrior, so once he's healthy from the fast and everyone's like, oh, it's good that he did that, then it's okay.
So she's your ultimate challenge.
But the ultimate drive, yeah.
Right. And teacher.
Teacher, the ultimate, what resists persists. She resists me. And then this Tim keeps growing,
at the end of our lives, we'll thank all of our nemesis.
Yeah, and it's like learning to do that when she's treating me like a 12-year-old boy is, eventually I'll get there,
Yeah, when you're fasting too. I mean, that must take a lot of mental bandwidth. I mean, people know they get cranky when they haven't eaten for a while. I mean, this is probably 10x that.
You're dealing with it, yeah.
So, all right, so you break the fast, you put it on video. What's it like physically breaking the fast? I know that wasn't simple for you.
Yeah, it's a weird moment, but absolutely incredible taste. But I didn't want to crave it. That's one thing I didn't want to do, was set a time. I can't wait for this moment, I'm going to break my fast. I can't wait for day 35, 11:11, I'm going to break my fast then. Because then you've got this end moment that you're looking forward to. That's why...
You're not being present.
Yeah, you're not being present. And that goes away quickly. So I didn't have that. And like I said, I listened to my heart. When it wasn't in it, then I could break my fast. I wasn't really excited, but I was like, yeah, cool, we get to do this. We get to move on with my life. I've got other things to focus on in life. So I had my favorite melon, Piel de Sapo melon, and it tasted, whoa. I was like, this is, when you see children eat fruit and they're like young babies and they're just like, rum, 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 rum. It was that. I was like, wow, I understand what children must taste like. Our taste buds have been so desensitized, you know what I mean? From all the hot food, the processed food, the over-salted food, all this stuff, and it was like a fresh taste. I was like, whoa. And it was like, humans must be fruitarian. This is so natural. And so I realized how much we desensitize children because we put our habits onto children, for one, and remove them from nature's laws of eating as nature provided it, as what humans want to do. They always want to tamper with everything nature made. The animals are just eating raw food and they're healthy. We're eating all this cooked food, going around needing all this hospital work, blaming it on genetics and all this stuff. And it's like, it could just be your lifestyle. It could just be removing yourself from nature, and you're like an apple from a tree, as Alan Watts would say.
Yeah. So you break this fast. It tastes amazing. How does your body deal with the sudden consumption of calories?
Burnt my mouth, burnt my tongue.
Really? Burnt
my tongue. Too much acidic, unripe. You realize how much we eat unripe fruit because we just buy it from the supermarket and eat it straight away. We don't give it time to ripen.
Wow.
It's not grown in its natural habitat. So then I had to eat cucumbers for 4 days.
Wow.
Because they weren't sweet. They were,
Okay. And how did the digestion deal with food?
I ate really rational sizes and I ate really slow and I didn't watch YouTube. I'd sit and I'd enjoy every bite, close my eyes and and it was amazing. And cucumber tasted amazing. And then I could have cherries. I tried a few different things. I'd eat one and wait 10 minutes and see. Watermelon, my jowls flamed up. Couldn't eat watermelon for a week. I was pretty gutted about that. But it made me...
What does that tell you?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't know whether it's the ripeness or whether we overconsume sweet fruits or, we should stick to the less stuff. But eventually it came around, I could eat that stuff more.
Okay.
But cucumber for a few days and then cherries were amazing.
Okay. But you're sticking to raw and obviously vegetables.
Since then I've stuck completely raw.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you gained a lot of weight back?
No, I've not gained much. I only just started eating avocados more recently.
Okay.
Gained
so
4 pounds.
So you're kind of still under 140.
Yeah.
Okay.
Low fat, high. And this was, when I was reading Arnold Ehret, he was really one of the most inspiring people to read for me. His book Rational Fasting and books about nature's laws and stuff like that. And his philosophy on food resonated very strongly with me. And so when I came out of it, I wanted to sort of follow that. And then there's also the Essene Gospel of Peace. That was one of the most inspiring books to me that made me aware of fasting years ago, which is supposedly there's books of the Bible that were removed by the priests because they didn't want us to know about these things. So it's chapters of Jesus, small book, but about Jesus talking about fasting, talking about enemas, talking about eating once when the sun is highest, once when the sun sets, combining no more than 2 or 3 ingredients per meal, eating to 2/3 full. Sort of stuff that resonates, that makes sense, but it's hard to adapt in a modern lifestyle because you want to have your breakfast and you want to mix more than 3 ingredients. We all want to eat more than 3, Yeah. But when you're fasting, you're like, I'll be so happy with 1 ingredient,
Right. And what's been the reaction overall, if you look back at this, and look what was the reaction. Obviously, people react to your weight loss too, and the way
That's
you
the
look,
biggest thing,
and
yeah.
you know, I mean, I think you look pretty good, but I mean, but what's it been like in person and on this alternate universe of YouTube?
Yeah. Yeah, there's sort of two ways. For me, it's like some people care how you look, some people care how you feel, you know. The ones that matter care how you feel. How are you feeling? This doesn't matter, you know. This is why the mirror is a big problem in our lives. You have a mirror in the bathroom and it's like, we focus on how we're looking and we're not actually checking in with how we're feeling. That's what meditation does. You close your eyes, how am I feeling today? So some people, oh, you look haggard, you look old, you look like a crackhead, whatever, you know. It's like, dude, I'm fasting. Like, I just acknowledge, I don't even respond because they don't understand. And maybe they'll see more people, but I've had a history of looking into fasting and I understand it's completely normal. These things happen, it's detox, it's healing crisis. Your body deals with other areas and this is gonna fade and then it'll all come back and it's better than ever, younger than ever, healthier, more glowing than ever, your eyes clear. One of the things that led me to fasting was iridology, which is the study of the iris, which is the idea that our iris is a complete map of everything inside, the legs, the organs, everything is like, and when you take a real good photo of it and you have iridology doctors, and this is from the Greeks had it as well back in Pythagoras and them days, Hippocrates. It's like a monitor on a computer for the insides of the body.
Okay.
And when you fast, your iris clears up and becomes more clear because these things repair internally, and so the iris becomes more whole. The eye becomes more
Were you able to look at it?
I have photos from before and after.
Okay.
And there's all my nerve rings cleared up, a lot of the sulfur stuff in my gut cleared up, all these things. So I do the science as well, and I had blood tests done afterwards, and my B12 and iron levels. I've never had them done before, but for my mother, I got a B12 and an iron test, completely normal.